We remember her as the bully, the unibrow, the pigtails, the voice. Helga Geraldine Pataki, Arnold's tormentor, the kid who punched a boy named Brainy across 4 seasons of television just for breathing behind her. That's the Helga we agreed to laugh at, but the show was telling us something else in the same episodes, sometimes in the same scenes, and we kept missing it. The bully was a performance. The performance was a survival strategy, and the kid running it was 9 years old. We didn't get Helga wrong by accident. We got her wrong because the show was structured so we would. And what was actually happening underneath the act was one of the most carefully drawn portraits of childhood trauma ever animated on television. Open the closet. In the back of Helga Pataki's bedroom closet, hidden behind her clothes, is a shrine. The centerpiece is a life-sized bust of Arnold, the boy she spends her days publicly torturing. The bust is made of his chewed gum. She collected it off the sidewalk and the underside of desks for years. She sculpted it herself. Around the bust, she has placed photos and pieces of his hair. She visits this shrine at night. She kneels in front of it. She reads poems out loud, poems she has written about him in notebooks she keeps hidden under her mattress. Under her shirt, she wears a small gold heart-shaped locket with his picture inside. A 9-year-old built this privately without telling a soul. Write that sentence out and the laugh dies. A child sculpting a likeness of the only person who has ever shown her kindness out of his own discarded garbage hidden in the only room of her house where her parents do not look. That is not a crush. That is a coping mechanism. The show is not vague about why she needed one. Her father is Big Bob Pataki, a pager salesman, a workaholic, a man who, in multiple episodes, looks his 9-year-old daughter in the face and calls her by her older sister's name. He does this so often, it becomes a running joke. In quantity time, he thinks Helga is between 5 and 7 years old. In Beeper Queen, Miriam thinks she's 8. They have forgotten how old their own child is. Her mother is Miriam. Miriam is what a children's cartoon in 1998 was allowed to show of an alcoholic. She drinks what the show calls smoothies. Blended drinks she makes constantly from a blender the show tells you she is emotionally attached to. She slurs, she passes out, she forgets to pack Helga's lunch. The show tells you in Road Trip that she was once a rodeo queen. She dropped out of college, married Bob, and disappeared. And then there is Olga, Helga's older sister, 12 years her senior, a perfectionist concert pianist who has not received a grade below A- since the 3rd grade. Olga is the daughter the parents love. Olga is the daughter they remember to feed. Helga does not call her parents mom and dad. She calls them Bob and Miriam. She has decided somewhere that they have not earned the titles. The show built the entire character around a single scene. It happens in Helga on the Couch, 1999, and it is the most unguarded thing Hey Arnold ever animated. A child psychologist named Dr. Bliss begins seeing Helga at school. Helga shows up to therapy in a trench coat and fedora because she doesn't want anyone to know she's there. She spends most of the session lying, deflecting, asking the doctor if she's even a real doctor. And then, deep into the hour, she tells the story of her first day of preschool. She is 3 years old. She is standing in her own house. Her parents are in the living room, gathered around Olga, who is playing Chopin's Minute Waltz on the piano. They are praising her. Helga walks in and asks who is taking her to preschool. Bob, without looking up, tells her to go play outside. She decides to go to school alone. She walks. It starts to rain. She has no coat, no umbrella, no hat. A car passes and splashes her with mud. A stray dog steals her lunchbox. She passes a man sleeping in an alley. She is 3 years old. She arrives at the preschool. She is shivering. She is dirty. She is alone. And then, out of nowhere, an umbrella appears over her head. Above her is a boy with a football-shaped head. He smiles and says, "Nice bow. I like your bow because it's pink like your pants." That is Arnold. That is the first time anyone in Helga Pataki's life has ever looked at her, noticed her, and given her something for nothing. Watch what the episode does next. Dr. Bliss asks gently, "Has anyone ever noticed you?" Helga answers after a pause, "There was someone." That is what trauma sounds like in a 9-year-old who hasn't been allowed to name it. 5 syllables, a trailing off, a door cracking open just wide enough for someone to see what's behind it, and then closing again. Arnold is not just a crush. Arnold is the first evidence Helga ever had that being noticed was a thing that could happen to her. She has been chasing the feeling of that umbrella for 6 years. She doesn't know how to ask for it because nobody ever taught her that asking works. So she does the only thing children do when they want attention from someone who isn't coming to give it. She hits him. The bullying is not contempt. The bullying is a child manufacturing the only contact she has ever been allowed to receive. She punches Brainy when he breathes behind her, and the same therapy episode, almost in passing, reveals that Brainy has been stalking her since preschool. She is every day surrounded by attention she cannot accept and starved of the kind she needs. The pink bow she wears every day, the one she touches when she's nervous, the one in every episode of the show, Arnold complimented it. Once, at the age of 3. That bow is the only object she has worn continuously across 6 years of television because the day she put it on was the day someone first told her she was visible. So go back to the closet, the bust, the gum, the poems, the locket. These are not the artifacts of a crush. These are the artifacts of a child who, after years of being unseen, was finally seen for 10 seconds in the rain when she was 3 and has spent every day since trying to keep that feeling alive. The closet was the only room Helga had, and this is where it stops being about Helga. Most kids who grow up unseen do not build shrines, but most of them build something. A character they play at school, a version of themselves that is louder, meaner, funnier, smaller, blander. Whatever they figured out by trial and error would draw the kind of attention they could survive. You probably had one. You may still have one. You may have built it so long ago you no longer remember what the version underneath sounds like. What looks like cruelty in children is almost always grief that hasn't been given a name. The kid who hits is not the kid who hates. The kid who hits is the kid who has not yet learned how to ask. I went the other direction. Where Helga got loud, I got quiet. I made it my job from about the age of 8 to be the easiest person in every room, to take up the least space, to ask for the least, to be such a low-maintenance presence in my own house that nobody would have a reason to notice I was struggling. It worked. Nobody noticed. That was the whole problem. Helga and I built opposite costumes for the same reason. There is one more detail in that therapy episode almost nobody talks about. At the end of the session, Helga's secret is out. She has confessed everything. The shrine, the poems, the locket, the love. Dr. Bliss tells her gently that what she is feeling is normal, that she is going to be okay. And then Helga goes home. Her parents threatened her the night before not to tell the therapist anything about them. When she gets back, they don't ask how it went. They don't ask if she is okay. They are watching television. The therapy hour, the single hour of focused adult attention Helga had received in 9 years, ends, and she walks back into the same house. The same parents, the same closet. The show just lets her have 1 hour. Then it puts her back. Hey, Arnold was not the story of a boy with a football-shaped head. It was the story of the girl across the street who built her entire personality around the 10 seconds he held an umbrella over her head when she was 3 years old, and who spent 6 years of episodes hitting him in the back because she had never been taught any other way to make a person look at her. We laughed at the bully. We never asked why she was always running off to cry behind a tree. The show asked. We just weren't listening. Helga got the umbrella. Most of us were the kids still standing in the rain. And if you remember exactly where you were standing the first time someone in your life actually saw you, then you already know what that umbrella felt like. Helga built a bully to survive a home that didn't see her. Across town, in another house, another kid built something stranger. He built a laboratory. He locked himself inside it before he was old enough to reach the doorknob. He stayed in there for 6 seasons of television. We thought he was a genius. We never asked what he was hiding from. That's the next video.